Hello.
Hello, Jeanette. I don't know if I got to welcome you, but wonderful to have you all here. And there's Melissa waving. Hello. Good to- so good to have you here. Welcome back to another Google Workspace training session. We are here today for top 10 top tips for Google Slides. I have to say that slowly. So welcome to all of those that I've seen before. Welcome back to those that I haven't met before. Great to virtually meet you. I'm Samantha from Using Technology Better. I'm coming to you down south of Melbourne today, where of course, like most of the East Coast, we've had a lot of rain, but the sun is out, which is exciting. And next week we're going to have like high 20s, so I'm totally pumped. So with today, we've got our little 30 minutes together. I'm going to dive in. I have a very ambitious list of 10 tips for Google Slides, so we're going to see how we go. So as I jump into it, as always, I just love a really quick intro in the chat, where you're joining us from, what your role is, and that helps me remember who I've met before as well. So if you want to jump into the chat and do that, that would be wonderful. And if you've got any particular Google Slides questions, you're welcome to pop them in the chat as well. So thank you. Wonderful. Replenishment store support, Catherine, love it. Oh, wonderful. Excited to be here. Thank you. That's so good. That was Greg, wonderful. Brizzy, Talia, Amy. Oh, Woolies X. We've got some new to Woolies X, so welcome, Amy. Marcus, Sydney, love you. Oh, be a fellow Melburnian. Wonderful, Melburnian, I should say. I'm down on the Mornington Peninsula fee, so wonderful. Noes, Thomas, Jeanette, excellent. Love it. Woolies Q, you are great. Keep them coming. All right, so let's get our first tip on going on while those intros come through. So I've just started a brand new Google Slides file, and I've actually left it all open with that themes pane on the right hand side, because my first couple of tips are all to do with the themes. So number one is around importing a theme. So on the left here, where we have our themes pane, we can go in and choose a theme. And, you know, in most cases, you'll probably be working with a slides theme that's to do with whatever business you are in. So I can see we've got a few big W's in the room, got partner code, got a whole lot of stuff happening, mini Woolies, all of that kind of stuff. But whatever kind of branding you would use, you would probably use that theme. So a real good time saver is if you haven't already opened a slide deck with that particular template or that theme, or you haven't opened it from a template or anything like that, you can come down the bottom here to import theme. And this little button right down the bottom, you can use to grab a theme from any other slide deck you've got. Now, it typically will look in Google Drive, so you can go in there and have a look straight in Drive, or if it's not sitting in Drive for whatever reason, you can upload it as well. So if there's still some legacy PowerPoint things floating around, or someone sent you something in PowerPoint, you can even upload a PowerPoint file and grab the theme out of that. So I could go down here, I'll pick this like travel one down the bottom here. I'll select that, and it's not going to get the content, it's just going to get the actual theme and bring that in. So you'll see in just a sec, my slide deck will change. So thanks for the rest of those intros coming in. Wonderful to see them. So in just a sec, you'll see it's all going to load up. And if it doesn't look quite right, which sometimes initially it doesn't, if I just right click on a slide and go into apply layout, I'll see I've got all the different ones. Oh, that's just a boring front slide. But you can see I can flip between them. Now, if this little this little themes pane is closed, that leads me to my sort of second tip of where you can find these kinds of things. So up on the slide tab, we can come in here to change theme, and that's going to open the themes pane if you want to go and import one from there. Or tip number two, you can actually edit the underlying theme and layouts in a presentation. So just to get the terminology, the theme refers to like the colors and the fonts and the styles and all of that. And then within each theme, we have different kinds of layouts. And that is the design on the slide in terms of the boxes and the images and all of that, how it's laid out on the slide. So whenever you have a theme, it will have layouts in it, and you can have a look at what they are by coming up to the little layout button up the top here, and I'll see all the different layouts here. Or as you saw before, I right-clicked on a slide and went down to apply layout, and I saw them in here. So you can edit all of these. So if I jump into again to this slide menu and I come in here to edit theme, this is where we can go behind the scenes of the theme and make changes. So let's just say this particular theme, we've decided we actually need an extra logo in the bottom left corner, or there's been a slight change in branding and we want to change the font or something like that. We can do it in here. Now, a couple of really important points around working with themes when you're editing them. There's two places you can kind of do it. So up the top left here, where it says theme and it's got this little one, this is what we call like the master template. And this only has a couple of things on it. It has like a title and it has some body text and some bullet points and stuff. Anything you edit on here applies to all of the layouts. So this one's not so much about where things are positioned on the slide. It's more about colors and fonts and sizes. So let's just say this here, this heading, I actually wanted to change that to be Pacifico, and I wanted to change it to be size 36. You will see on all of these layouts underneath, it's now changed it to be the same, right? So I've made like an update to all of them by changing it at the top. And here with all of these different types of text and levels of text, I might want to change that to be, actually I'll change the color, a hot pink, for example. So now, again, any of these that we're using that particular one, you'll see the hot pink has now come in. So that changes it through everything. But let's just say you just wanted to change something on a particular slide. So I'll just undo, or a particular layout. It might be that just on this particular style of slide or this one here, I wanted to have things look a little bit different. Oh, that looks terrible. Let's jump into here. So it might be this particular one I want to change to Pacifico. Great, it will only change it on here. Now, one other little part of this is the other thing you can do in a theme is you can insert what we call placeholders. So up the top here where we have a text box, for example, we can insert a text box where we actually write text into the theme. So like let's imagine at the bottom of each slide, you wanted a text box that said, not for distribution, top secret Woolies material, and you wanted that on the bottom of every slide. You could just put a text box in the theme and it will have it on the bottom of every slide, and no one will be able to edit that. It'll remove it unless they actually come in and edit the theme. Or you can put placeholder text boxes, and that will then be little text boxes that when we use this slide, it will prompt us to add that in. So it's a placeholder for you to use in the slide. All right, so when you're done, you can just click X, theme has been edited, and any changes we made will all be reflected here in the layout. So there you go, there's my one, for example, with the placeholder and with the changed heading. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up either in the chat or on the screen if that's all making sense so far. Fabulous, fabulous. So that is tip number 1 and 2 done. Number 3 coming right at you now. So number 3 is super quick and simple. Number 3 is up on the insert menu. We do have the slide numbers option. So for a long time, we actually couldn't put slide numbers on Google Slides, but we can now more recently. So we can click in here to insert slide numbers. Now we can choose to put them on every slide, or we can skip the ones that are title slides. And I'll show you what that means in a second. But I'm just going to turn them on. Actually, I am going to skip title, so I'll apply it. So let's have a quick look. So you'll see I've got a nice number 1 down here. And the fact that this is in a pretty circle, that all comes from the theme. So again, you can control that kind of thing in the theme. So let's add a few more slides. And I just want to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, what I mean by a title slide. So if I right click again and we come into layouts, you'll see some of them in here will be titles. So there's an image and a title, there's a title slide, title, and all different ones. So if I pop a title in, see no page number. So again, this all comes back to that theme. All right, so tip number 4. Now this is probably my favorite Google Slides tip. And this I find so helpful because it really expands the use of Google Slides and what you can do in it and what you can use it for. So often we think about Google Slides, oh, it makes a slide deck, and we use a slide deck for presenting content, usually, whether virtually or on site in front of a room, or maybe we're sending a slide pack to people. But typically we just think of it in terms of that slides. But Google Slides is actually a tool that you can use to create a whole variety of different content, whether that be particular images you want to export as an image format, whether it be really fancy PDF files that are, flyers or guidelines or instructions or signs or a whole lot of different things. And what unlocks this power is that you can actually change the size of a slide. So typically what we're seeing on my screen now is we've got, I think it's a 16:9 or a 16:10 format, which is a very typical kind of widescreen slide size. But let's just say we wanted to make a nice PDF brochure of a whole lot of fancy stuff for new starters, you know, what to do in the team. We don't really want that in slides. We would probably prefer that as an A4. So we can come up here to the File menu and down to Page Setup. And here, you'll see I'm on my default 16:9. I can change that to any custom size I want. Now, because I've been doing this a long time and I'm a little bit of a nerd, I do know that the size of an A4 slide in centimeters is 21 by 29.7 centimeters, okay? Now, if you're not a nerd like I am, don't despair. You can just Google those dimensions and you will find it. Or if you want A3, A2, A0, any size you want, you just type it in. If I click apply now, I will have a series of A4 pages that I can then do whatever I want to do with, right? Just use them almost like a bit of a document here. And then the best bit is what, and I don't even think I had this as a tip, so you're getting a bonus one. The best bit is then, of course, you can come in if you need to, and you can actually download this as a PDF. So if you don't want it to distribute it in slides, easy, you just do it that, okay? So super simple. So I'd love to know in chat if that's helpful, useful, or if anything you've learned so far is useful. Let me know in chat what's been good for you, and then we will move on as well to tip number 5. So I feel like I'm timing it well. Oh, that's good, Talia. Yep, good. Yeah, if you only want a one-page canvas, yep, easy. Just delete the other slides, and then what I do, I just come in and apply the layout of, do I have one in here? Blank. Now, look, in this particular theme, right, blank has patterns on it. But what I would do is I would usually come into the theme, not edit the theme. Just don't mind me. I'm having a moment. Change the theme to a blank theme. Now, this is a good tip. So with a lot of this, once you've already got a theme in there and you've got content in there, it will stretch the content as you're seeing. And in my case, it does not want to reset to a blank theme. So what I would always do is I usually come in with a blank one, set it as the A4 page first, and then go and apply any stuff. So, oh, thanks, Melissa. That's lovely. So hopefully that helps, Candice. Okay, well, I've still got like 6 tips to go. So let's do this. So, aligning objects. Now, I'm actually going to change my slide back. Oh, what? Yeah, let's change it back. I'm just thinking, let's just change it back to that. So we've got kind of, yeah, let's work with this. All right, inserting and aligning objects. So I'm particularly going to do this with a bit of shapes and stuff like that. We're going to do some clever stuff with this. So when we've got multiple objects in a slide deck, so whether that be shapes or images or text boxes or lines, we often want to line them up. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a couple of shapes. So I'm going to add a circle. Now, first little tip when you're adding shapes like circles and squares and triangles, if you hold the shift key when you're actually drawing them, it will keep them in perfect dimension. So it's a perfect circle, okay? Or we might want to do a perfect triangle, okay? So lovely. Now, I might also want to pop in a text box. So let me just grab that. Oh, that's great, Jane. Hold shift for perfection. Let's say that. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So I want to align all of these things. This one, and this one. I want to make sure they align at the top or the bottom or whatever that might be. So I need to select all the objects to start with. Now, I can click one, hold control, click the next one, hold control, click the next one, and that will select multiple. And this is really good if they're all in different places and around the page. But if they're all relatively close together, you can also just click and drag your mouse over all of them and it will select them all in one go. So once they're selected, you can then come up to the Arrange menu. And on here, we have a whole lot of stuff in terms of ordering things, aligning things, distributing, centering, rotating, all that kind of stuff, grouping things. But today, we're going to do align. And I just want to align them at the top, for example. So it will move the circle and the text box up so they're all at the top. So again, coming back to that point about like the A4 page and making content in here, all these little tips make it really, really easy to then put content in here quite quickly and get it organized how you want it and move on. Now, next tip is probably one of my favorites. So let's just say we have this triangle and we've made it a beautiful yellow color. I'm going to put a border color. I'm going to make the border purple. I'm going to make the border 16 point and I'm going to make it dots. Okay, so I've got this crazy looking triangle thing. So it looks quite pretty. And then I'm like, oh, great. Okay, now I want to do another shape. I want a circle, I want a star or something to look the same format. Now we can do copy formatting and stuff like that, but a really quick way is if you've got one shape that looks the same, like that has the formatting that you want, if you click on that shape, select it, then come up to your shapes and choose another shape. So I'm going to choose a heart. Let's choose that. And then you draw the other shape. It will inherit the formatting of the one you clicked on when you inserted it, right? So it's a really quick and easy way to copy stuff over. So you can just go nuts with that. I can have all kinds of crazy little things happening all with that same formatting. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Now, of course, if you just wanted a whole lot of triangles, you just copy and paste them. But when you want different kinds of shapes, then that's what you would do there. All right, so I feel like now we need an image. So let me move this. And I'm going to come up, insert an image, and I'm going to search the web for an image. Now, today, what kind of image do I want? Turtle came to mind. I don't know why, but we're going to go a turtle. So let's grab some nice little turtle. Let's get this little one here. Whoops, come here, turtle. We'll insert you. Oh, I think I've ended up with multiple turtles. That's okay, all good. So I've got some turtles. Now, when we're working with images, we can do a lot more in Google Slides than we can in Google Docs. So up here, when we click on an image, up here we have our menu of all the things we can do, borders and all of that kind of stuff. We can jump into format options and we can set particular sizes and positions. We can recolor it. We can add adjustments, fancy drop shadows, all this kind of stuff. But the one I want to particularly show you today is a really quick and simple one, which is just around masking an image. So if I want to change the shape of an image, just click on the image and come up here where we've got our little crop button, come up to the little drop down next door, and I can then mask an image. So I can come in, for example, to shapes here. I can choose a shape that I want to put that image into. So I'm going to do a teardrop, and you'll see I've now got a very pretty teardrop turtle. Really, really quick and easy. Now, if you do that right, Catherine, Catherine loves turtles. Awesome. If you do stuff like this, so let's imagine I've put the turtle, and this is a bonus tip, it's not in my original plan, but I've got the turtle and I've popped on an orange border to the turtle here in the teardrop. And then I think, oh, I want a different turtle. I don't want that turtle. I can just click on it, and instead of inserting a whole new image and having to reformat it, I can come up to replace image. I can do a search the web and I can search for another turtle, and I can click that turtle and it's going to replace it in exactly the same spot, right? So it's just that time saving of like, oh, don't need this anymore, and then I want that one. Now, I do this a lot when I'm distributing content where I want someone else to put theirs in. I'll actually put like a bit of a placeholder image with the formatting, the shapes and all of that, and then people will do that from there. Okay, so that was number 7. We've got 3 to go. So I'm going to need a new slide, number 8. This, let me change the layout. Number 8 is around diagrams. So up on our insert menu, we have the option for a diagram. So we can grab any of these particular types, or we can go in and view all, which I prefer because I can then see the styles on the right-hand side here. So we've got these types of diagrams. So let's imagine I was looking for a cycle kind of diagram. I can jump in here. Now you'll see that there's a few to choose from, and I can choose at the top here how many steps I want in my diagram and what kind of color scheme. Now there's not a lot of colors to choose from and you can't customize it here, but you can customize it afterwards. So I usually choose a color similar to what I want. So often, not always, but often there's a bit of a green theme in some of the woolly stuff. So I'll go with the green. And then I can choose a particular type of diagram. So I'm going to choose this one and it's going to pop it in. And you'll see it's just added all the shapes, all the placeholder text, and then I can go and edit individual elements of this to change colors and change the text. So it's not like a super complex diagram tool, but it's really good for just simple diagrams, getting your message across. And I'm going to give you a bonus tip here. I've done a few bonus tips today. That's okay. I'm watching the time. What you can do is as well, when you've got a diagram in a Google slide like this, you can click on this slide on the left here, like the mini view, and you can copy that slide and you can paste it into a Google Doc. And when you do that, it will link back if you want it to. You don't have to, but you can link it back to the slide deck. So then when you make a change to that diagram in the slide deck, the life of turtles, for example. Goodness, I can't spell today. Turtles. When I go back to the doc here, it will prompt me to update that particular slide, and you'll see all of a sudden we now have the life of turtles. So the reason I'm showing you this is because slides are great for diagrams. Even if you don't want to keep the diagram in the slide, you can move it into a Google Doc. All right, so 2 tips to go with 7 minutes. So this is awesome. And get ready because I'm going to get you to ask a question or drop a comment in a minute somewhere about what your favorite tip has been. So tip number 9 is around voice typing in speaker notes. So this is a tip that is perfect if you're actually going to give a verbal presentation and you want to just get your thoughts together and practice what you might say. Now, I'm not like a big rehearser for presentations. That's never been my thing, but sometimes you've just got ideas and thoughts that you want to be able to capture about what you want to highlight when you're talking about a particular slide. And a really good way to do that is just to open up your speaker notes, which live down the bottom here under Google Slides. So sometimes you see them, they're all the way at the bottom and you've got to sort of hover with the two, you get the little hand and drag this up. Then we can come up to the tools menu and into voice type speaker notes. So I can come in here, I've got to change my language to whatever my accent is. So I'm going to go English Australian. And then I'd say, for example, so the life cycle of turtles is a really, really interesting topic. And you'll see here that I've got a diagram that represents the 5 biggest or most important stages in a turtle's life. Stage 1 is when they are born. Stage 5 is when they die. And in the middle, we've got stages 2, 3, and 4. So I've just really quickly gotten my thoughts out in there. And then you could see I could go in and change that or edit that to really get my ideas together. So yeah, glad you like that one, Talia. It's really simple. I mean, and we can voice type in Google Docs, but I think I'm going to save that for I think I've got a Google Docs 10 top tips for Google Docs coming up. So we'll save that for that one. All right, so that's helpful. That's awesome. Yeah, good. People are loving that one. Love it, love it. So let's jump in really quickly to our 10 top tips, our 10th tip. Which is all around, again, when you are doing this is actually when you're doing a presentation live, whether it be virtual or, with people physically in the room. We can use a couple of features when we're presenting. So what I'm going to do, because I'm conscious of time, but I'm really quickly going to change my screen share so you guys see my whole screen. Now, you're going to see yourselves briefly as well, but just disregard that because there's a reason I'm showing you this. So it'll come up in just a minute. You'll get to see how I train with you guys on the left, see, and what I'm presenting on the right. So if I come up here to slideshow, I'm going to actually put this in presenter view. So when I run a slide deck in presenter view, it essentially gives me 2 little screens. So one, which is the main screen you would normally see, and the other one, which is my presenter view, which usually if I was presenting in a room, I'd have this little box on my laptop screen, and the big one here on the big screen, or if I had 2 screens, I'd have them separate. But I'm showing you guys today so you can see it. So what I want to show in here is we have a little option called Audience Tools. And we can do a live Q&A plugged into the Google slide deck from here. So I usually set this up just before I start presenting, but you guys are seeing it live today. So I'm going to come into Audience Tools and I'm going to start a new Q&A. And what it does is on the top of my slide deck, it automatically pops a link for you to ask a question. Now, really important with this, you'll see here, me as the presenter, there's a setting around who's allowed to ask me questions. So initially, it will restrict the questions just to your organization. So for you, it would say accepting questions from Woolworths. Now, because you're not from my organization, I need to make it so that anyone can ask me a question, so that if there's external people in the room, they can. Now, if we were in the room physically together, you would just grab your phone and your laptop and type in that link to ask a question. But because we are here in a virtual room, I'm going to pop that into the chat for you. And I'd love everyone to jump in. Now, you don't have to ask me a serious question. You can just ask any question, or you could just pop in what your favorite tip is, because we're just playing around. And as you do that, you will see the questions will appear here for me. So I can see behind the scenes what you're asking, and you can also vote on each other's questions. So have a go at that as well. And hopefully, yeah, we can see them coming up. How many types of turtles are there? That's awesome, Talia. I love it. Amy, Rob will answer that for you. So I'm not sure. Rob, that question from Amy for you. Beautiful. So we can see a whole lot of stuff coming in. We've got a great question from Fee. Fee, hang on at the end and I'll try and answer that one. To remove a lot. Actually, I can talk about that one in just a sec. Yeah. So let's just say I want to answer one of these questions. So again, this will be, you won't normally see this as the crew in the group, right? Today you are. So let's say I want to answer Fee's question. I can click present, and it actually pops her question up on the screen for everyone to see, which is just awesome because it's really clear what I'm talking about. So Fee, what I think is going on there is that the logo is actually part of the theme. So that's why you can't click on it and delete it. So if you go into the slide menu, edit theme, where we were right in tip 2, you should then be able to delete the logo off the slide. So no worries, Talia, I'll see you later. So hopefully that helps, Fee, give that a go, but that's usually why. Okay, so I've just got one more thing to show you about this. So I'm going to close this, and I just want to show you, I'm going to exit this out, that what is great about this feature is that when you finish your presentation, you can come up to the tools menu and you can go into Q&A history, and you can see the question session and all the questions that were asked. So you can go back and actually look at them and follow up with anyone that you didn't actually get to answer that question. Okay, now, do you know what? The last minute, I'm quickly going to show something because I didn't get to show you before. Last thing I want to show is we can also, when we're presenting a slide deck, we can jump into the little dots down here and we can turn on captions. So this is awesome because if you've got people in the room that may have hearing difficulties or English second language or anything like that, we can get the live captions down the bottom there. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll exit my slide deck. Now let me stop my screen share. Hopefully that's helpful. Rob, can you just let us know where everyone will find the recording as we head off for today? Oh, the Tech Coaches portal. There you go. We'll have the recording available in the next day or so. That's right. Is it, Rob, from what I can see there? You're muted. Hang on. Push that space bar, Rob.
It is available, and it'll be available in the next couple of days. It just takes us a while to change the format and put it in the portal.
Yeah, no worries. Awesome. For those that have got to go, thank you so much. And then I'll answer Catherine's question as well. So really appreciate you hearing your enthusiasm. Thank you so much. Oh, good so good, Gina. I loved you. I'm glad you loved it. I love slides. So much to talk about. So now Catherine says, do captions only work for you? What if there are multiple presenters? So it'll pick up from whoever is speaking. So yeah, so that's fine. Whoever is presenting to that particular slide, it will pick up. So should be fine. But having said that, if people have switched between different people are presenting the slide deck, they'll need to turn it on there. So yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll see you again soon, and bye. Thank you. See ya.